Now we are live.
We are live.
Woo!
Welcome to the corner booth. Sorry that we're a little bit late tonight. Doing our little test runs during the week. It could have been a lot worse. So I'm glad that we're here with you tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hello, future people, people in the future that are watching this. I want to just to thank so many people that have made this week unbelievable, as far as retweeting, as far as Facebook posts, as far as promoting us on their own Wattpad page. And that goes to not only people who follow me as well as this amazing panel, but Wattpad HQ themselves, Gavin, Amanda, Zoe, thank you so much for getting behind this, as well as Pages. I think Romance got behind us, which was wow. Yes. So that's just absolutely amazing. I want to introduce, like I said, this incredible panel, and I want to put this into perspective for all of you. This panel collectively has 39 works with over 4.6 million reads, 139,000 votes, delivered to an audience of over 21.7 thousand followers. Which really begs the question, when are you guys going to do a collaboration? Because you would rule Wattpad. It's just amazing. I am going to go down this little line right here on the bottom and introduce each one individually. I brag on these people constantly because I am not only an avid fan, but I'd like to think that, especially after this last week and a half or so, that we've become pretty good friends. So first of all, Rita is she's suffering a little bit of technical difficulty still. Hopefully we can get her on soon. But I did want to first start off with Miss Michelle Hayes, the author of How Deep the Roots Go. It's a paranormal romance, book one of a saga, and it is number 52 today in paranormal. So congratulations for that, Michelle. If you are not reading about the tale of Temperance Augustine, please get on this because it will twist your mind in ways that, wow, yeah. So
thank you, Nat.
Continuing on. Oh, Rita's here. Rita's
Yay!
here.
Woo! There she is, I think.
Can you hear us, Rita? I don't see her. Okay, well, we're going to keep trucking along. Hopefully she'll materialize. We have Wattpad Award winner for 2014, Miss Mary L. Tabor, for her memoir Remaking Love. And like I said, if you haven't opened this, which I mean, there's not many who have. It has ridiculous stats. Please just do yourself a favor and open this amazingly heartfelt memoir that it will break your heart. It will put it back together. It will make you question, do you have a heart in the first place? It's really unbelievably written. She has a voice that's a lot like, if I had to compare it to something, it would be like James Earl Jones. It's something that you just can't find anywhere, and it's so distinct, and it's so amazingly well crafted. And Mary, thank you so much for being on this panel. I was over.
Got me blushing here.
Moving on to Mr. Jason Howell, who's helping me support the male Wattpad species. It's a endangered species. It kind of seems like at times.
You guys are a little outnumbered.
Yeah, it seems to be that way in the reading world in general. So
yeah. He's the amazing author of The Questions, The Fear and Love Conversations, as well as the creator of 100 Over 20, which is a Wattpad thread that's available to anyone who wants to partake in it. If you haven't read the comments that are left on 100 over 20, I really strongly advise that you do. It will make you smarter to the point where, I mean, I don't even comment on that thread because I am so scared that my newly found intellect will get stripped from my hands if I put my food in my mouth.
Found intellect. Oh my gosh, you're so
wow.
So it's really amazing stuff. Jason, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about your thread and your style a little bit more. He has a very humorous style, and it's a wit that I can't get enough of, man. You crack me up.
Thanks, man.
And then of course the evil overlord herself, Miss Brittanie Charmintine, Waddy Award winner 2014 for Mermaids and the Vampires Who Love Them. Yes, that is the title of a book. I couldn't believe it the first time that I saw it. It was directed to me by the amazing Layla Adams, and she said, "You need to read this book, Nat." And I thought, what? What does this even mean? And I read the tagline, and it goes something, I can't really do it verbatim, and so you'll have to correct me, Britt, but it's basically, mermaid blood is like vampire crack. And that just hooked me right away, and I was just in love with the story of Waverly and her adventure and misadventure. And it's kind of like you took Ariel from The Little Mermaid and Edward Cullen and shot them, and then brought them back to life and reanimated them in a way that only you could do. And it's so humorous, it's just quirky and whimsical, and it is everything that you want in a story. So yes, thank you so much to this panel. You are an amazing, amazing panel to start off the corner booth with. I hope that each of you stay with this project for a very long time. I do want to kind of let everyone know what the corner booth is really about if you don't know already. Hopefully you do. But it's essentially to aid not only new Wattpadders, but veteran Wattpadders as well. And it's done through direction. It's done through support, and not necessarily hand-holding, but it is done through guidance. And I think that, there are so many groups out there like the Wattpad 4 and the Word Nerds, who I love very, very much, to the point where I'm pretty sure that they think I'm almost stalking them. But I admire them to the point where they're helping people craft their stories. Very, very, very important. But I do want to stress that this isn't necessarily about crafting a story. We might touch base on it here and there, but this is about how you engage the site, the magical land that is Wattpad, and how you navigate those waters, because they can be turbulent at times. So with that being said, I would like to I missed my little banner. I have little banners for you guys so you can see them.
Yeah, get your banners up there.
Yes. So the segments themselves are going to split up in several different sections. The first part that you just saw, we call it the high five, and it's when we introduce you to the corner booth. It is when you meet panelists that might be stepping in for the original panelists. And secondly, where we're at right now, it's called Cream or Sugar. And essentially what that means is we want to put Wattpadders in the spotlight, whether it is the cream that has risen to the surface and just really needs to be recognized, or just an amazing Wattpadder who might have hundreds of thousands of votes and reads and followers, but we respect them a great deal and we want to put them in the spotlight. So I want to start off with Miss Michelle Hayes. If you would like to start off with your cream or sugar spotlight.
Of course you're going to start me out, man.
Yeah.
Why do I have to be first? Okay. Make Mary go.
I'll go first.
All right.
You want me to go first? I'll go first. Want me to go first?
Sure.
All right, I'll go first. Am I on? Okay. What I'd like to do is should I go first, Michelle?
Yes, go.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
I'm passing the torch to you, darling.
I have two shout-outs, and they're really short, but these are really great, two great people, and they're from two specters, two different specters. One is at Christabel. Christabel is a brilliant poet and has a soulful, magical heart. If you're not reading her, you should be, and I've been reading her for a really long time. I've been on Wattpad for about a year. The other is someone I found last week, so brand new to me, and I don't think he's been on very long. His name is Aljao _ ALJAO_. He is a Peruvian archaeologist, and he writes in both Spanish and English. And the title of his novel in both Spanish and English is The Inevitability of Art. What a great title, and something I would like to come back to later in the program. That's my first two shout-outs, and I pass to Michelle.
Okay. See, you broke us in. Yay! Okay, I want to give my shout out to Lila Adams. I'm sorry, go. My Labrador Retriever is trying to eat my MacBook. Okay, Lila Adams, she has written The Offering, and now she is on Sacrifice. She's put a great spin on vampire. I'm really enjoying it.
All right, Mr. Jason Howell.
The shout out that I want to give for Cream and Sugar is to Aaron Rubicon, who is an underread author on Wattpad, but a veteran of the questions. Extremely witty, clever, funny, and compact. He's got, his stuff has great brevity to it. And again, Aaron Rubicon, he's writing something now called The Idiot That Ran Into a Tree. And it's cracking me up. It's a great story, and definitely check him out.
Awesome. And Miss Brittanie Charmintine, sorry, I'm going to call you Charmintine for a long time simply because I messed up so bad with that dialect.
Just think of teenager, and
yes.
then it'll all work out. So for Cream, I guess I think a lot of you already know BNL fan, which by the way stands for Bare Naked Ladies Fan, if anybody's wondering. She has written a book called Flawed, and I don't know what the ranking is today. It's been as far as #1 on the science fiction hot list. But it is a fantastic story and really well written about a girl who is born flawed. It's an alternative dystopian future. So I recommend that. She's a Cream. And then for Sugar, I would like to recommend an author named Redbank 3K. And he has a book called Sand, and then I think he just finished the sequel called Rain. They're also science fiction, and this man has thought out this world to such an extent you cannot even believe. The world building is unreal. So those. I'm done.
Oh, sorry. So that's kind of how we do Cream or Sugar, just to let you guys know. It's just a chance to involve you in this broadcast because you are just as much a part of it as we are. A lot of people might be wondering, Nat, why in the world did you call something the corner booth? That doesn't even make sense. I mean, it's cool, and I like to sit in them, but why is this called the corner booth? So the reason is actually threefold. For any of you that are Friends fanatics, that's actually a Friends reference. I believe it's the one with Chandler in the box. So if you have Netflix, watch that episode tonight, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So it is threefold. I have, let's see. First, the name was inspired by The Cafe, which is a forum in Wattpad. Secondly, the content of this broadcast was inspired by, like I said, the Wattpad 4 and the Word Nerds. Third, the panel and Wattpadders everywhere have inspired the kind of idea of making this a conversational discussion versus something that's strictly informative where we're just kind of bashing you over the head with bullet points. I wanted to kind of feel like you're sitting down with all of us at your favorite diner, at your favorite cafe, and we're just dishing out on all things Wattpad. So I hope that you enjoy this segment, and that brings us to, let's see, kablammy! The Entree. So the Entree is the meat of the discussion that we're going to be talking about every single week. This first one is what is called Wattpad 101, and the subtitle beyond that was Start, Stop, Continue. Essentially, what this will do is, hopefully, it will make it so that you can see what each individual panelist has started to do, stopped doing, and continued to do to get to where they are currently. And I think it's a very, very important discussion topic, and we're just going to kind of go through this. Brittanie, I'm actually going to start with you and work my way back this time. So the first question that I have is, if you could go back in time to the point when you first signed up for Wattpad, what would be the first thing you'd do after registering?
Oh, the first thing I would do, I think is I would start poking around and finding things that I would be interested in reading. So there are ways you can do that. There are featured books, which are books that Wattpad has read and deemed to be something that they recommend. You can look at the hot list. You can look at award winners. You can just put in subjects, keywords that are of interest to you, and discover works that way. But I think the best way to come into Wattpad is as a reader first, before you start writing and posting things. That's my recommendation. Is basically find out what other people are doing on the site, what people are writing, what's working for them, and establish relationships with those people, because at the end of the day, Wattpad is about relationships.
Yep.
Couldn't have said it better. Absolutely. It's so important. I think that the community that we have in Wattpad, because it's definitely a community, it's a social network, and I think that the more that people recognize that, and especially what you just said, the more that people are going to be able to feel comfortable and find, their people. I know that sounds cliche, but I mean, I think that everybody has that one click that they kind of gravitate toward, whether it's fantasy, whether it's science fiction, whether it's adventure or romance. And yeah, absolutely, that's a fantastic point. Moving on to Jason.
The first thing I would do would probably be to seek out and follow all the ambassadors. If you're trying to get an idea of how to conduct yourself on the site, you really want the ambassadors to be showing up in your feed so you can get a sense of, just how to conduct yourself socially, I guess, since it is a very social venue. So guys like the Orangutan or a gal like Catherine Arlene. There's a whole bunch of them I could name, but they're great people. They work really hard for the community. They're there to look out for you, answer your questions.
Owen Glenn.
Yes, Owen Glenn.
That guy is awesome.
Owen Glenn is a great one also. There's a bunch of them. I'll probably leave some out if I try to list them. But definitely follow your ambassadors and get them on your radar.
Sweet, yeah, that's awesome. Okay, Mary, before you answer this question, I need to ask you a question that has just plagued me for a while now. Why? Okay, if you haven't read Who by Fire, I feel sorry for you. You need to pick up that book. It is phenomenal. I actually, it was a Christmas gift to myself. I got an Amazon gift card for Christmas, and it was probably my first purchase that I made after I purchased some polypropylene socks because it's so ridiculously chilly in Michigan. But now that I can fight the tundra off with spring, I want to kind of let people know that, man, Mary is not only a fantastic Wattpadder, but she's also a published writer in print, available on shelves. It's kind of crazy to me to think that, wow, why would such a noteworthy writer come to a place like Wattpad? I'm hoping that you can expand on that.
I would like to talk about that. The future is here, and it's digital. Think about the way you discover music on the internet, and then you buy the album. Now, I'm not saying that I don't want people to buy my published. I have three books that are published and available on Amazon and elsewhere. And sure, I want folks to hold them in their hands the way you, Nat, are doing. That's a wonderful thing to hear. I didn't even know that. And sure, I would love for folks to discover the new novel that I'm writing live on Wattpad entitled Passing Through. Okay, so, but here's the thing. I've been in the literary world the biggest and the best part of my life. I've published stories in literary journals, and I've won literary contests. On Wattpad, I'm flourishing in a way I don't think possible anywhere else. I have readers, writers, community, feedback. It's constant, it's encouraging, and often it's brilliantly insightful. And all this from folks I would never have otherwise known. And that's why I'm here. And if you're not on here, you should get on. And at some point, I'd like to come back and talk about the relationship of literacy and art. And I'll do that when you have time to get back to that, Nat.
All right. Thank you so much, Mary. That's just fantastic. We're so
Mary,
glad
you're
to have
such a
you.
humble soul. I want to hug you.
Glad to have you on Wattpad.
I can use the hug.
I stumbled upon Mary at the very beginning of my kind of venture into the site. I had the app installed on my phone because it was because of a girl. A girl told me she liked the story.
It's always because of a girl.
Yeah, I know. All the great stories are. She said she liked this story on Wattpad and she wanted me to read it. And being the crush, it just kind of, oh yeah, I'll do that, thinking that reading something is going to get me something a little more, which it didn't. But it was just the fact that these stories were available for free, and I couldn't believe the talent and the caliber of writing that was on a site like this. And so when I decided to participate in the craziness that is NaNoWriMo by way of Wattpad's Just Write It challenge, Mary was one of the first people to ever read my story. And I was completely blown away because when I started reading her work, I was thinking, oh man, I better start writing really well because Mary L. Tabor's reading my work. And you're an absolute blessing to this site, and it's so wonderful that we have someone like you. And I mean, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but you are kind of like Professor McGonagall of Wattpad.
Oh my God!
I just love it.
That just goes with my age. Okay, that'll just go with my age.
you need to get an English accent, and it'll just be sold.
That would be good.
That'll just be sold. Okay, Miss Michelle. So we're gonna get back to the question. What would you do if you could go back in time to when you first started on Wattpad? What would you do?
Okay, so honestly, if I could go back, I wouldn't change hardly anything other than joining clubs. I think that's imperative as a writer to join a club. I did not realize that until several months in. So that's number one. But other than that, I think everything has a way of working its way out. You establish relationships, as we all have on this panel. But I truly felt at home that this was the right place for me as a writer to get my voice heard, my work out there.
Can you tell us what the benefit of a club is for people that don't know?
Okay. Well, you establish relationships with authors that are in the same genre as you, and then they can give you insight on your works, and vice versa.
Awesome.
I've received a lot of insight on my works. In fact, I was in the wrong club with How Deep the Roots Go. I initially placed it in romance, which was the wrong category altogether, because although there is romance within the pages of How Deep the Roots Go, it's primarily paranormal.
Gotcha. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for this first little section. All fantastic answers. I hope that everybody watching and even the panel. I'm hoping that everybody kind of has takeaways from this. That's what I'm really hoping. This project was supposed to encompass not only people who are striving to be better writers, but writers that are already amazing and have some sort of sense of community with this. I hope that we have future panelists that want to come aboard and be a part of this because, like I said, I mean, like everybody pretty much has said on this panel, the community on Wattpad is what makes Wattpad. And the interaction and everything like that, we kind of feed off of it. So that is going to bring us to question number 2. When it comes to Wattpad, what are your pet peeves? What do you do to deal with those who press those buttons? Jason, I'm going to start with you.
Oh wow, you're going to start with me? I've been on Wattpad a long time, like probably longer. I think the longest here of anyone here. There's not a whole lot that bugs me really. I mean there is, but it's hard for me to name a pet peeve because it's like I'm just so used to everything. You know what I mean? And if I name one, it's guaranteed that somebody that I really like does it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to piss
So
anybody
you're playing
off.
nice guy.
No, it's not even playing nice guy because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Then they're going to stop. You know, it's going to get all weird. But if you ask somebody that I knew what their pet peeves were, they would name one. It would be one that I do. So Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things that can annoy you on Wattpad if you let them, just like there's a lot of things that can annoy you when you go to 7-Eleven and buy a freaking bottle of water, if you let them. So just kind of, just take it all in stride, I think.
I want to tell everybody that Jason is we've had a chance to talk this week. I've had a chance to talk with all the panelists, which has been that's been amazing. But Jason and we kind of have this running contest going. I think we're both fairly brutally honest, and we're trying to see who can lose the most followers by the end of this broadcast. So if you'd like to join us, come on over. Okay, Mary, I'm gonna shoot this back to you.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to pull Jason into my answer, and because he's not a pet peeve, he's an example of the best of Wattpad, or Wattpad at its best. I'd like to start this way and say this is a social network. That means you don't sit and wait to be discovered. You discover others, and you tell them that you have, and you tell other folks that you have. Generosity drives Wattpad. It's not a zero-sum game, meaning if one person gains, another loses. The definition of a zero-sum game.
Mary, you had me at math. Like, I'm totally with you right now.
So the gift here is that your writing and your reading life gets richer through giving. I'd like you to think of it, all of you listening, to think of it as a well. And the well is fed by a continuing underground stream. And that stream is fed by what you give, not by what you hold back. I've found so many folks who just do this, and now I have an example. And the example is Jason Howell, or Etsy Thomas Howell, on Wattpad. A year ago on Wattpad, I'm on for about a month. And I have a few chapters up of the memoir, Remaking Love, and then I post a short story entitled, From the Woman Who Never Cooked, entitled The Burglar. And I get a private message. Messaging is a really interesting way to connect really directly with people on Wattpad and begin to form friendships that will be, I think my friendship with Jason will last the rest of my life. Aww. And what he did is he wrote me a note, and the note said, "Hi Mary, there are a bunch of us here who think it's pretty cool that you're on Wattpad. And we'd like to hear more from you, and we'd like to get to know you." I have never forgotten that. At that moment, I was just infused with a feeling of being welcomed and warmth, and we have been communicating ever since. And today, he has a wonderful blog post on Hilarium, which is if you haven't checked out Hilarium, check it out. But he is Wattpad at its best.
That's right, Jason. You the man.
Okay, well, good night, guys. I'll see you guys. How do I click out of this?
Now you know why I think Mary L. Tabor is Professor McGonagall. That is exactly why. It's all been, set in stone. I just felt like I had a huge lecture that I'm never going to let go. The whole bell thing. Wow, that blew me away. Miss Michelle, we're going to scoot on over to you. And,
I don't know if I want to go after that. My gosh,
yeah,
Miss Mary. You are beautiful.
Okay. Sweet. You're getting me all stupid.
You truly are. You're like the matriarch of this panel.
Well, I'm the oldest on the panel. Let's put it that way.
No, not in that sense. You're just you're beautiful. Okay. So, coming off that, my biggest pet peeves. I don't have a significant amount. However, I think I'm going to piggyback off you a little bit, Mary. I think giving credit where it is due, it's imperative. Just like you said with the wishing well, if you just put a penny in, that author, that vote, if it's deserving, that, I don't know about you guys, but when I see that vote or that comment, that's like my paycheck. I find it's incredibly, it unnerves me a little bit when there's so many silent readers out there. And that vote button, it does matter. So I think if someone was kind enough to select my story and vote, it's my and also I'm sorry, let me rewind. If someone's kind enough to select my story and vote and leave me a comment, it's my duty to leave a note of thanks to show that gratitude.
Lovely.
Absolutely.
Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry, I'm echoing.
No, that's okay. No, it was perfect. Gratitude is key, and I think that if more people realize that it takes more than mass follows and random votes on random chapters. It's phishing. I mean, you're more transparent than cellophane. We know exactly what you're doing. Your profile page pretty much sells you out because everybody can see that you followed 8,000 people in the last 15 minutes. It's just, we're not going to pay attention to that. We're going to be paying attention to the people who are contributing to this community. You can't. Wattpad is a two-way street. You could be J.K. Well, no, that's a bad example, because if J.K. Rowling joined Wattpad, it would crash. You could be someone who's might be a little bit lower. Even though he's my favorite author, he's not known by very many people. His name's David Sedaris. And
he's known by everybody. Yes.
I've mentioned his name to several people, and they just kind of are like, David who?
Yeah,
and,
well, they've been hiding under a rock.
Yeah, seriously. Stanland Diaries, love it. So if he were to come on as, let's say that he said, my name's not David Sedaris, he chose a different moniker, like whatever Jason, well, I'm not going to say Jason's moniker that was on earlier, but let's say that he said his name was C. Thomas Howell, and he just kind of started posting things that, nobody knew it was him. He probably wouldn't see a lot of traction immediately. It's just the fact of life. So yes, gratitude, absolutely, right on point, so important. Show it. And we're going to turn around to Miss Brittanie on the end.
Okay, it's hard to follow all that. That's all amazing advice you guys gave. I do have pet peeves, and let's see. I'll just pick one. And I'm good, but I'm going to flip it around like you guys did, and I'm going to use Nat, and I'm going to say he is the antithesis. When Nat started reading my story, he left the most amazing comments constantly throughout every chapter. And they were so insightful. Like he knows more about my story, I think, than I do. And they made me feel so good. And they were clever. They were pretty much every time I got one, it would make my day. And I have quite a few readers that leave me really lovely comments like that. But I'm going to use Nat as my example of what to do. Because what not to do, is people who leave just sort of general negative comments on someone's work. It doesn't bother me so much as when they do it to people that I care about on the site. If it's just some about someone's work, it's really not helpful in any way. It just makes the person feel bad, and it doesn't give them anything to try to improve. And I think I don't know if I'm speaking for everyone, we're all trying to be better. So any kind of constructive criticism that we get, comments that point something out that's an inconsistency or something that we can fix, and that it's said in a really kind way, that is a gift to me. Those comments are gifts. And I've had people say to me, "Wow, you're so nice," when someone corrects something, and I'm like, that person really gave me something that's important. I'm very grateful. But a general kind of
LOL.
This sucks comment, those are no good. LOL. I don't mind LOL. LOL I like, actually, because then I know when a joke is working. When something I've written is making someone laugh. So that I wouldn't like. Right?
Well said, Brittanie.
Absolutely. I think everybody will kind of gather around this. Gratitude is usually reciprocated. So if you are being gracious with what you leave in those books, and I don't get people that leave really rude comments in books, because they're there, and not only are you not respecting the author and the person commenting, but you're also putting it out there for the entire world to see, and that it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Nat.
No, go for
I
it.
didn't mean to be rude, interject. I was just, what I was going to say is, I think that anybody that has the tenacity to put themselves out there on a social network platform,
There you go.
if they have the heart to turn a blank piece of paper into something, hats off. You don't have to be negative and nasty on Wattpad. If you don't want to read it, don't read it. If you like what you see, or excuse me, like what you read, then leave a comment, leave an insightful comment. So, hey, okay, they're liking what they read, but it's unnecessary to just belittle and hurt somebody. There's enough evil in the world, people.
Yes, be kind. Be kind, people. It's very
Here.
important. Ellen DeGeneres is so right.
Kind.
You go, girlfriend.
I'd like to give
So,
Can I give another little shout out and an example of what I think a really good comment might be? But I'm going to be sort of use my own example of my own comment to do it. But I want to give a shout out to somebody. Can I do that, Nat, right here?
yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, what I mean here is that this is a guy. His name is Barry 205.
Oh, that guy is awesome.
I know. He lives in Britain and spent many years in the military, Iraq and Afghanistan. And I've been reading. I found him. I think he just read something of mine, and I just went off. And if someone reads me, I read them. I don't always comment or do whatever, But if I like them, I can't help myself. So he's just posted something really new. It's called "When You're Wounded and Left on Afghanistan's Plains." And I left a comment. This is the comment. If the comments are specific and they really show a close read, like at R.D. Brooks is, oh my gosh, he's a fabulous reader. He does folk songs and music. At Lisner, another one who does fabulous reads, and she's doing rock poetry that's amazing. So at Barry 205, I put this comment. I'm going to just read this. The backstory here about your move up the ranks, your work as a nurse, this is a male nurse, and your sense of having to be a parent to those younger than you when you reach 35, and I think at that point he's a captain. And at this point in Afghanistan, you've set the stage for what comes. Then with no sentimentality, you chronicle what you see. This, sir, is the art of writing, and I voted big time.
Man, that's a comment right there.
That gave me chills.
So the more, he knows he's gotten a close read from me. He knows I was really paying attention. And also, if you haven't read him yet, go to Barry 205 and hear about awesome. Iraq and Afghanistan.
He's really, really good. His stuff is, I've read some of his vignettes, and they're raw and they're powerful, and he has such an eye for detail that it hurts your soul, but you want to read more. And I think that's probably one of the best things that writing can do. It can contort who you are in the very fiber of your being. So yes, absolutely, Barry 205. Hats off to you, sir. I hope you're watching or watching the rebroadcast. So I want to kind of move on to this next thing. So we've talked about things starting. We've talked about things stopping. Now we'd like to go to things continuing. What's the most valuable piece of advice you've received? What's one thing you will never stop doing on Wattpad? Let's see, Michelle, I know that you've been kind of ducking leading questions, but I'm going to start with you.
Okay. Interact. It's essential. Interact with other authors, and to remember that I cannot please every soul out there. I think I've expressed that to you, Nat, on a private message because somebody left me a very terrible comment. But nonetheless, not everyone is going to like what I write. I cannot please everyone. One thing I will never cease is saying thank you to those that actually selected my book out of millions to read. I will always be thankful, and I will always make certain I convey it to others.
Absolutely. Very, very nice. Very nice. I also want to kind of ask you, Michelle. Michelle has been on Wattpad a little bit longer than I have. She started with a book called Invoke, which it's an excellent book, just as good as How Deep the Roads Go. I have yet to really read it in depth. I kind of skimmed the page to see what it was, but there's a reason why it has thousands and thousands of reads. It's a testament to who you are as a writer. So I want to kind of ask you, who has been your greatest influence on Wattpad?
Oh my gosh, really? Oh my gosh, you put me on the spot.
Sorry.
I've, on Wattpad, greatest influence. Okay, Rebecca Sky. That chick rocks.
Yeah, big
Yeah,
red.
she rocks. Rebecca Sky, and she's hot to trot too. Oh my gosh.
Her husband's in a rock band, and they're really good.
Yeah, her husband's like a rock star. And I do like her choices of lipstick too. She's okay. You have to get back to me on the next one. I have to think about that. Sorry.
Okay. I'm gonna bounce over to.
Thanks for putting me on the spot.
Yeah, I know. You love me. I'm gonna.
Really.
Bounce over to Miss Brittanie.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so what was the first question again? What advice do I have of something to keep doing?
What's the greatest advice that you've received, and what will you never stop doing on Wattpad?
Oh, the greatest advice I've ever received. I don't know. I can't think of anything better than just the idea of becoming part of the community on Wattpad. And I don't know who the first person is who told me that, but I know I read Michael Limjoko's book, Cracking the Wattpad Code. And when I first started, just trying to figure out Wattpad, and I think we talked about this earlier, that a lot of people read that and they take out of it, sort of the more scientific, numerical, mathematical procedures for how to succeed on the site. But what I got out of advice that you should become part of the community and you should write something worthy of being read. So basically, write the best thing that you can possibly write. There are so many people who on Wattpad who I look up to, and I'm going to throw one out today, but there are probably 1,000 other ones. But Alice Arden, I don't know if any of you guys know her. She wrote the Casquette Girls. She is an amazing person to look up to and aspire to be. Pardon?
She won a Waddy for that, didn't she? A Waddy Award?
I don't know.
I know it's
not this year, I don't think.
She has like stratospheric stats with that, so.
Yeah, she is in the stratosphere.
And I want to kind of ask you one thing, because I think you're the only person on this panel who has their very own fan club. It is called Brittanie's Evil Empire.
Wow, Brittanie!
Brittanie has a story. I mean,
I'm gonna join.
It's called Mermaids and the Vampires. Love them. It's abbreviated MATVWLT. But it does have a fan club, and she is what is called the Evil Overlord. And there are cupcakes available for those who join, and it's really incredible stuff. She's the only panelist that we have who has the coveted M next to her number of reads, as in million. So you are, to borrow Michelle's word,
good job, Ray.
I want to just ask you, how do you reward these avid fans aside from proverbial cupcakes?
Okay, so yes, my fan club is called Brittanie's Evil Empire, and it's a story on my profile. I didn't know how else to do it. What started happening was I was getting so many comments on chapters that were off topic, that we were just having so much fun chatting about things. So I thought, okay, I got to take it out of the book, and I've got to create something else. So I created my Evil Empire. And I am the overlord, and I really do think I should run the world. That's not a joke.
Right. Oh my gosh.
If I did, there would be cupcakes for everyone, and nobody could misbehave. None of those bad, horrible people in the world. They all have to stop it. And yeah, so I have a lot of members of my fan club. We call them minions, and they do my the way I reward them. I mean, if you take a look, if you take a look at the fans, and some of them are interviews with me, some of them are contests that I've had. I had a fan fiction contest where I had about 25 or 30 people wrote fan fiction using my world. I've had drawing contests. I have the most amazing artwork from some of my fans. I have, you know, an application to the school. I have, you know, what character are you like? You know, just little fun quizzes that you might find in Cosmopolitan or something. Although they don't have that kind of, they're not that same kind of topic that you would have in Cosmo, but they're they're a little different. So it's just a really fun place for my readers to hang out, and I pay attention to them. I have one chapter is about minion support. If people want to put on their summaries that they have for their own stories, I'll take a look at them and make suggestions on how they might improve them, or other readers can look and make suggestions as well. So I just think that all the minions should support one another, and we should have fun.
Absolutely. Amen, girl.
You bet.
All right, Mr. Jason, we're going to pass the torch to you now.
Piece of advice. That's what we're still on that, right?
Yes, piece of advice, and what's one thing you will never stop doing on Wattpad?
Ooh, okay. Well, I don't know if I've ever, or I don't know if I can remember any piece of advice I've received that I can sort of offer. The one thing I've learned, I'll say, is that always sort of represent yourself sincerely on the site. That's in your work, and that's in the way that you conduct yourself as a person. Because whatever, you're always going to get something back. Whatever you put out on Wattpad is the same, you're going to get the same type of attention coming back to you.
What goes up must come down.
Yeah, so if you misrepresent yourself, you're going to get a kind of attention that you might not want coming back. So just always sort of, you know, be sincere, be yourself. You don't need to front. You can stay anonymous, but just, you know, conduct yourself well and treat your neighbors well, man. And I think that probably overlaps with the second question as well. I'll try to keep on doing that. So
absolutely, the golden
that's
rule.
what
right?
I would offer. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty simple.
I do want to ask you one question, because you actually created a thread that I love reading. It's called 100/20, like I said. What advice can you give to some of these new Wattpadders and even veteran Wattpadders who have never used the threads or forums? What can you tell them to kind of help them navigate through them? Because it can get kind of hectic. You have threads that are like, I'm Wattpad, 35 plus, single and ready to mingle, or I love cats, or I mean, there's just so many things that are on the threads. How would you advise navigating them?
Every different club has a different vibe to it, has a different set of regulars, it has a different sort of ethic. Some of them are more active than others, some are slower, some move extremely quickly. Just find what works for you. You know, sort of show up, start posting, kind of get a sense of the club, and you'll sort of be able to get an idea of how you can use that club to bring people into what you're doing and sort of bring people together and start some cool conversations. So it's just a matter of putting in time and getting comfortable with the landscape, basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so Miss Mary, we are to you now.
Well, you know what I'd like to do, since it's 6:24, we've been going about an hour. Is I instead of talking about the advice, I'd like to talk about something I mentioned before, which is the relationship I see between literacy and writing on Wattpad. Let's just think of a child who paints a painting. Also, this is going to tie into your David Sedaris reference. In other words, someone who's really already famous and who's thinking, if he's listening, I doubt he's listening. He's a very funny guy. He could probably do a satire on this whole bit that we've just done, because he's such a clever writer, and I truly admire him. But I want to tie in the fact that whether he would be classified as the so-called literati, why the literati are or not going to be or consider Wattpad. I think one of the reasons that they should, and why I believe Margaret Atwood has put her imprimatur on here, and Paul Coelho has put his imprimatur, although they're not particularly active on the site. But I think they've done it because I think they recognize that there's a relationship between literacy and art. Think of a child who paints a painting and you frame it because it's beautiful and hang it above your piano, as I have. Think of a child who writes a poem and you save it, and maybe you frame it, and maybe you read it at her bat mitzvah or confirmation, as I have. And what I'm saying to you is that literacy and art hold hands the way children hold hands. They dance together. To think that Wattpad is not literate enough because there are young people who are trying out writing, who are writing fan fiction and vampire fiction and experimenting and risking, is to not understand the relationship of art to life from birth to death. I assert here for all of you who are listening and on this panel, I know you agree with me, that art emerges on Wattpad. Writers on Wattpad of all ages and languages and cultures all across the world are taking risks here. They are bleeding on the page, and they are doing work that matters, that has intellectual significance and emotional weight. And if you are not coming here to take a look, you are missing a bet.
Man, Miss Mary L. Tabor took us all to church. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Whoa.
The
Okay,
song "Take Me to Church" just came to mind, Mary. Wow, good job.
Oh, I love that song.
Wow. Man, I hope everybody, man, sit down and study, people. Seriously, that was crazy good. Okay, so I want to tell everyone that this portion of our broadcast, we are running very, very close. We started about 5 minutes late, so we're getting very, very close to our hour. But I wanted to kind of talk about this part of the broadcast. It's called Pass the Salt. Essentially, it's the opposite side of the coin of cream or sugar, in which we talk about improvements that can either be made to the community as a whole, or maybe someone who's super, super popular and is kind of, doing things wrong, and we don't know why they're in the position they're in the first place. And it's something that happens, and I think, fan fiction, it always gets a bad vibe from certain writers, simply because there are writers out there that believe that fan fiction authors don't deserve the credit they get. I am not one of those writers. I believe fan fiction has its place. I believe that it's a fantastic stepping stone, especially for beginning writers, and to find your own voice and things like that. So I hope that more fan fiction writers that have kind of a stronger presence, or at least a potential stronger presence, start coming up and batting, because fan fiction desperately needs it. But for this piece, I just kind of want to touch base on one thing, and I just want to say it once. Wattpad is always changing. Whether it's the algorithm that's used for ranking, whether it's the format on the page, I know that's a huge hot button issue right now. I can only advise to every single person watching, please be patient with these people. Programming, it takes a long time to do. I understand that you want to voice your opinions on threads, and you want to leave comments to people who you believe are responsible.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, this is a free site. You are not paying a dime to have your story broadcasted to potentially millions of people. It is completely free. Please don't have this ridiculous sense of entitlement. It is sickening. And I really want to give a shout out to, again, to Gavin, who's the orangutan. He handles these situations with such a graceful demeanor, and he has such a level and cool head. And Gavin, seriously, hats off to you, brother, because you take on these really angry Wattpadders who must just slam their fingertips against their keyboards to get their comments so angry. But it's really amazing what you do. Keep up the good work, and thank you so much for being in the Corner Boost Corner. And lastly, I want to talk about Check Please, and this is just kind of a wrap up to this segment. Just a few final thoughts from the panelists. I'm going to start going down the line from Miss Michelle, and then say what you'd like to say to sign us off, and we will get out of here.
Okay. I get to bid farewell to you beautiful people. I'll see you next Sunday. Thank thank you guys for your time. It's been such a blessing. It's a ride, but a one heck of a blessing. And I will continue to write and read and enjoy what Wattpad has to offer.
Miss Mary.
Au revoir.
Oh, well, for one thing, I'm living in a construction zone, broadcasting from a child's guest room, the only room with any furniture, and that's painted purple because she's 6 and that's her favorite color. So I won't be here next week while some of the construction is going on. But I'd like to close in this way and say that Wattpad is rich with the undiscovered, the voice that's waiting to be heard. And here's why. As I love to quote, and so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. As William Carlos Williams said in his poem, Asphodel, That Greenery Flower, and with the word poem here, think of invention, folks, think of art. It is difficult to get the news from poems, yet men die miserably every day for lack of what is found there. There are many, many poets on Wattpad, and you should be finding them. That Night Writer, there's another shout out for that wonderful writer. She is an absolutely fabulous
Zoe's 2
writer.
or whatever. She's fantastic.
And so, there's just some wonderful work here, and it's to be discovered. But what is to be discovered all in all is that art is emerging on this site, and it's emerging in a way that is transformational. And you will find it, and I hope you will come and see.
Mary, I hope you come back. As soon as you get done moving, you better come back to this panel.
I hope so too, Mary.
I'm just going to be off next Sunday. I'll be back. I could be back the following Sunday.
Okay, you better be, because seriously, wow. All right, Jason, you get to go after that.
Oh, wait, I get to follow Mary. Okay.
First of all, I'm signing on last.
I know, right? Yeah, you have to let her close. You put your closer at the end. First of all, I want to say thank you to Mary for saying what you said earlier, and just following up on what Nat said. It's amazing how much your actual speaking voice sounds just like James Earl Jones's as well. So that was actually a joke. It didn't come across very well.
I know, I laughed. I got it.
Everybody giggled. Everybody giggled.
Yeah, thanks you guys for showing up. Thanks for having me on the show. It's been pretty awesome and pretty cool to hear you guys speak your points of view. So enjoyed every minute.
Love you.
And Miss Brittanie.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to thank Nat for organizing and putting this all together. It's a spectacular idea, and I am so excited to see where it takes us. I want to thank the other panelists. You guys are all blowing my mind. And I want to thank all of you who are watching it live or are watching the recording of it. It's great to have you stop by, and I'm probably speaking for everyone that if you have any questions for any of us, you can reach us all on Wattpad.
I will put links to all everybody's Wattpad page. I will put links in the details a little bit later.
Okay. Well, we'd love to hear from you, and we hope you come back next week.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Wattpad Nation, for joining us for the Corner Booth's debut broadcast. We had so much fun talking with you guys. Thank you. I see right now we have 18 viewers, so that's pretty awesome. Thank you. We will be talking next week about the advanced class. This was Wattpad 101. Next week is the advanced class. It's called Tips and Tricks. I hope you come back. Thank you again. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.